The stars stretched endlessly above the wreckage, casting a cold silver light over the twisted remains of the alien starship. Alex floated carefully among the debris, his boots clanging against fractured metal. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant hum of damaged machinery. He could not remember the moment of impact clearly, only the sudden explosion and the cries of his crew fading into nothingness. Somehow he had survived, but survival alone felt meaningless in the vast emptiness of the drifting ship. As he moved, a strange feeling washed over him, a sense that he was being watched. He paused and scanned the shadows, his eyes adjusting to the dim glow of alien symbols etched into the walls. Each symbol pulsed faintly, as if alive, like the heartbeat of the starship itself. He reached out to touch one, and a jolt ran up his arm, not painful but awakening something deep inside him. The symbols responded to his presence, glowing brighter and then dimming, forming patterns he could not understand. Suddenly, a voice pierced the quiet. It was soft, melodic, and urgent. "Human, you must come. Please hurry." Alex froze, his heart pounding. The voice did not belong to any machine or recording. It was alive, desperate, pleading. He followed the sound through corridors that twisted unnaturally, bending in ways that made him feel as though the ship itself was alive, guiding him. At last, he entered a chamber that seemed untouched by the wreckage outside. Light radiated from every surface, casting soft reflections that danced like liquid. There, standing in the center, was her. She appeared fragile, almost delicate, but her presence commanded attention. Her skin shimmered like molten silver, and her eyes glowed with an intensity that made Alex feel both fear and awe. Her gaze held a depth he had never seen in any human or alien he had encountered, a mixture of desperation, hope, and something almost familiar. "I am Lyria," she said, her voice trembling slightly but carrying a clarity that seemed to cut through the silence. "I am the guardian of my people, the last protector of our civilization. You are our only chance." Alex took a cautious step forward. "Your people, they are still alive?" he asked. She shook her head slowly, a gesture heavy with sorrow. "No, not yet. They are trapped, enslaved by a cosmic force beyond anything you can imagine. If we fail, they will die." Her eyes filled with tears, but she forced them back. "There is a core, a living energy deep within me. It is the heart of our civilization, but it requires a human mind to interface with it to awaken its full power. Without it, my people will perish." Alex swallowed hard. Humans were known in the galaxy as fragile and unpredictable, often overlooked by advanced civilizations. Yet here, Lyria looked at him with unwavering trust, as though she believed he could succeed where countless others would fail. A chill ran down his spine. This was no ordinary mission. Failure would not just be his own loss, it would be the death of billions of lives. I don't understand. Why a human?" he asked, his voice shaking. "Because only a human mind can merge with the core without being overwhelmed," Lyria explained, stepping closer. Her movements were graceful, almost ethereal, yet urgent. "You are brave, adaptable, and clever. Your species has survived against impossible odds. That is why you must try." Alex hesitated, feeling the weight of her words. He was just a pilot, trained for navigation and combat, not for merging with an alien life form. But as he looked into her eyes, he saw something that stirred a courage he did not know he possessed. A quiet voice inside him whispered that he could not turn away, not when so many lives depended on him. I will do it," he said finally. Lyria's expression softened, relief washing over her features. She extended her hand, and Alex took it, feeling warmth and energy flow from her like a current beneath his skin. The chamber reacted instantly. The light pulsed, the symbols on the walls shimmering brighter as if acknowledging the bond forming between them. "You must be careful," she warned. "The core is alive. It will test you, challenge you, push you beyond your limits. But if you succeed, it will give us the strength to save my people." As Alex stepped closer to the glowing center of the chamber, he felt a strange mixture of fear and anticipation. The core seemed to pulse in time with his own heartbeat, drawing him forward and enveloping him in a warmth that was almost overwhelming. He reached out, and the moment his hand touched the surface, a surge of energy ran through him, making his vision blur. He stumbled, but Lyria caught him, her touch steadying him. "You can do this," she whispered. "Trust yourself, trust me." The first connection was disorienting. Streams of light and data flowed into his mind, images of cities, forests, and oceans that were not his own. He saw the faces of her people, their expressions frozen in fear and hope, centuries of history compressed into moments. It was overwhelming, and he gasped, stumbling backward. "Focus," Lyria urged, placing her hands on his shoulders. "Feel the rhythm. It is alive. It is waiting for you to move with it, not against it." Alex closed his eyes, taking a deep breath, letting the energy wash over him instead of resisting it. Slowly, he began to sense patterns within the chaos, pulses, waves, and currents that spoke in a language he could almost understand. The core was testing him, probing the limits of his mind, challenging his instincts. But with each passing moment, he felt a growing confidence, a rhythm forming between him and the alien energy. Outside the chamber, the ship shuddered violently. The wreckage groaned, and distant alarms echoed through the corridors. Alex realized that danger was approaching faster than they had expected. The cosmic entity that had enslaved Lyria's people was already here, seeking to destroy the last hope of their survival. "Do you feel it?" Lyria asked, her voice tense. "It is coming. If we are not ready, everything will be lost." Alex nodded, gripping the edge of the chamber. "I can feel it, but I think I can control it." The next moments were a blur of sensation. Energy surged through him, and he instinctively moved with the rhythm of the core. The chamber responded, walls shifting slightly, lights pulsing faster, as if the ship itself were alive and assisting him. Alex felt power unlike anything he had known, and with it came clarity. He could sense threats before they arrived, manipulate energy flows, and even anticipate movements. It was intoxicating, but he kept his focus, remembering Lyria's words and the stakes at hand. Suddenly, the first attack came. A pulse of dark energy tore through the corridor outside, shaking the ship. Alex instinctively raised a barrier, a wave of energy forming from the core to protect the chamber. The impact rattled him, but the shield held. Lyria's people, hidden in pods throughout the ship, remained untouched. Relief washed over him for a brief moment, quickly replaced by the understanding that this was only the beginning. "You are stronger than I imagined," Lyria said, her voice filled with awe. "If we can survive this night, there may still be hope for my people." Alex allowed himself a small nod, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He was not just a pilot anymore. He was the key to an entire civilization's survival, a human standing against forces that no one else had dared challenge. The core pulsed beneath his hands, alive and responsive, as if acknowledging his courage and determination. For the first time since the crash, Alex felt a sense of purpose. He had been thrown into a world beyond human understanding, facing challenges that could break any mind or spirit. Yet here he was, standing firm, ready to face the unknown. The journey ahead would be perilous, filled with trials that would test not only his strength but his very humanity. But Alex knew one thing with absolute certainty: he would not fail. Not while Lyria's people needed him, not while hope still flickered in the darkness. He had entered a new reality, one that demanded bravery, ingenuity, and trust. And as the core pulsed in harmony with his own heartbeat, he realized that perhaps, just perhaps, humans were capable of more than anyone in the universe had ever imagined. The first step had been taken. The bond between human and alien had begun, fragile but unbreakable. And in the shadow of the stars, among the wreckage of a fallen civilization, a new story of courage, trust, and survival was about to unfold. The chamber's glow settled into a steady rhythm, casting soft light on Alex and Lyria as they stood together. Though the immediate threat had passed, the silence that followed was tense, heavy with the knowledge that the danger outside was far from gone. Alex could feel the energy of the core still humming beneath his fingertips, alive and responsive, yet unpredictable. Each pulse seemed to whisper a warning. Mastery would not come easily. Lyria guided him to the center of the chamber, where the core's energy radiated outward like ripples on water. "You must learn to move with it," she said softly, her hand brushing against his arm. "The core is alive, but it will not harm you if you act with intention. It seeks balance, understanding, and trust." Alex nodded, swallowing his apprehension. "I don't know if I can do this," he admitted, his voice low. "It's too much, too fast." "You can," Lyria insisted. "I will guide you. Your mind is human, yes, but that is exactly why it can adapt. Let go of fear, Alex, and listen to the rhythm." He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. The chamber seemed to dissolve around him. All that remained was the core, its energy flowing into him like a river of light, its pulses syncing with the beat of his heart. He could feel memories and knowledge from Lyria's people weaving into his consciousness, images of cities made of glass and silver, forests filled with glowing flora, oceans that shimmered under alien suns. The beauty of it was overwhelming, and for a moment he felt fragile in its presence. "You are doing well," Lyria whispered. "Now let it guide your hands. Let it teach you how to protect, how to create, how to fight if necessary." The first lesson came as a sudden jolt of sensation. Dark energy surged from the corridors outside, a warning of approaching threats. Alex reacted instinctively, feeling the currents of the core flow into his arms and legs, granting him strength he had never known. He moved his hands and the light responded, forming a barrier that spread outward and sealed the chamber's entrances. The walls vibrated as if alive, and the pulsing light intensified, protective and fierce. Lyria's eyes widened with admiration. "Incredible," she said. "You are merging with the core faster than I expected, but the challenge will increase. It is not enough to defend. You must learn to control and strike." Alex hesitated. "Strike? Against what?" "The enemy," she replied simply. "They will not stop until every trace of my civilization is gone. The cosmic entity is patient but relentless, and now that we are alive, it will send hunters." Her words sent a shiver down his spine. He had fought in human wars before, faced danger in the stars, but this felt different. The enemy was not just machines or armies. It was a force beyond comprehension, a being that had enslaved an entire civilization. Yet despite the odds, Alex felt something he had not experienced in a long time: determination. Humans were often underestimated, yet here he was, standing at the center of a power that could challenge a god. Hours passed as he practiced, learning to synchronize with the core's energy. Each attempt left him exhausted, his body aching as the alien power coursed through him, testing his limits. The chamber became a place of trial and growth, the glowing walls reflecting his struggle and progress. Lyria remained by his side, offering guidance, encouragement, and occasional corrections when his focus wavered. "You are ready for more," she said finally, her voice firm. "I will open a link to the rest of the ship. You must move beyond this chamber and protect my people. If you hesitate now, they may not survive." Alex's stomach tightened. Moving beyond the safety of the chamber meant facing the unknown directly, confronting the cosmic entity's forces in full. But he knew he had no choice. Lyria's people were counting on him, and he could not fail them. The corridor outside the chamber shimmered as a bridge of energy formed under his feet, allowing him to step into areas of the ship that had been damaged or unstable. He could sense the core's energy flowing through the ship, reaching toward the hidden pods where Lyria's people slept. Each step he took was guided by instinct and the rhythm of the core, and he could feel the presence of the enemy drawing near, dark pulses of power that contrasted sharply with the light surrounding him. The first confrontation came swiftly. A group of alien drones, twisted and dark, moved silently through the corridors, designed to seek out life and destroy it. Alex's heart pounded as he raised his hands, the core's energy responding to his thoughts. A wave of light surged forward, striking the drones and sending them flying against the walls. Sparks and fragments scattered across the corridor, but the drones were destroyed. Lyria's voice echoed in his mind. "Good, but do not underestimate them. They are the first wave. There will be more and stronger." He nodded, though she could not see. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, yet he felt alive in a way he had never known. Humans had survived against impossible odds for centuries, adapting and thriving in situations far worse than this. Now that resilience was being tested on a scale he could barely comprehend, but he would rise to the challenge. As he moved deeper into the ship, he sensed the presence of the pods. They were protected, yet fragile, and the energy of the core allowed him to reinforce them. He could feel the people inside, sensing fear and hope intertwining, their survival resting on his ability to master the core. Each pod responded to his touch, glowing softly, as if acknowledging the human who had become their protector. Suddenly, a stronger surge of energy hit the corridor. Alex stumbled, barely maintaining his balance. He turned and saw a massive shape moving toward him, dark and twisting, emanating power that made the chamber vibrate. It was unlike anything he had seen, a creature of pure malice sent by the cosmic entity. Its presence alone was a test, challenging him to rise beyond fear. Alex focused, letting the rhythm of the core flow through him. Energy streamed from his hands, forming barriers and weapons simultaneously. He could sense the creature's movements before they happened, predicting attacks and countering with precise bursts of light. Each strike drained him, yet he pushed forward, understanding that hesitation would mean failure. Lyria's voice in his mind was steady, calm, and unwavering. "You are doing what no one else could. Trust yourself, trust the core, trust me." Her words strengthened him. He realized that this connection was more than power. It was trust. The core responded not just to his actions, but to his intentions, and through that synergy, they could achieve what neither could alone. The creature recoiled under his assault, retreating, but it was not defeated. He knew this was only a taste of the challenges to come. Hours turned into cycles, and Alex continued to defend the pods, mastering the flow of energy through the ship. He learned to anticipate the drones, to counter the attacks of more advanced creatures, and to stabilize the pods when the ship shook violently under impact. Each success strengthened his bond with the core, and with Lyria's guidance, he felt his confidence grow. During a brief lull, Lyria appeared beside him, her form radiant in the pulsing light. "You are progressing faster than I imagined," she said, her eyes filled with admiration. "Soon, we will be able to open the final path to my people, but you must be prepared. The cosmic entity will not wait. Its patience is infinite, but its fury is unstoppable." Alex nodded, exhaustion weighing on him, yet determination burning brighter. He understood now that humanity's strength was not just in technology or numbers, but in courage, adaptability, and the will to protect others. He was the bridge between Lyria's people and their survival, a human proving that even in the vast universe they could make a difference. The chamber's light pulsed around them, gentle now, as if acknowledging the progress made. Alex felt the core's energy flow in harmony with his own heartbeat, a steady rhythm that gave him clarity and purpose. He realized that the challenges ahead would be even greater, but he was no longer alone. With Lyria's guidance and the trust of an entire civilization resting on him, he was ready to face whatever came next. The human who had arrived as a stranger, lost and unsure, was becoming something more, something capable of confronting forces beyond comprehension, capable of protecting lives that were not his own, and capable of proving that courage, determination, and trust could overcome even the darkest threats. And as the shadows of the starship shifted, the pulse of the core radiated outward, a beacon of hope in the midst of chaos, promising that the fight for survival had only just begun. The energy of the core had become a part of him, yet every beat of its pulse reminded Alex of the weight he carried. Lyria had guided him well, but he knew that the challenges ahead would be far greater than the first wave of attacks. The cosmic entity would not rest. It had waited centuries, biding its time, and now it had a reason to strike with fury. Alex moved carefully through the corridors of the ship, his senses heightened. Each step was measured, each breath deliberate. He could feel the hum of the pods where Lyria's people rested, and the core's energy flowed through him, protective and watchful. The air itself seemed alive, vibrating with anticipation. He had learned to anticipate attacks, to manipulate energy streams, and even to sense the presence of the enemy before it appeared. But despite his growing mastery, fear lingered in the back of his mind, a reminder that failure was still possible. Lyria followed silently, her presence calming yet urgent. "You have done well," she said softly, "but the final challenge is near. The entity will test you directly. Its power is immense, and it will exploit every weakness you have. You must remain focused, and you must act as one with the core." Alex nodded, feeling both the weight of responsibility and a strange thrill of determination. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and he realized now that adaptability, courage, and quick thinking were his greatest tools. He had entered a partnership with an alien power unlike anything he had known, and together, they were stronger than any enemy. The first sign of the coming storm arrived as a deep vibration shook the ship, reverberating through the floors and walls. Shadows stretched unnaturally along the corridors, and the lights flickered in warning. Alex felt it before he saw it, the presence of the cosmic entity drawing near, immense and malevolent, moving through the ship as though it were a predator hunting prey. Suddenly, the corridor ahead rippled, and a massive form emerged. It was unlike the drones or creatures he had faced before. This was the entity itself, a shifting mass of dark energy, eyes glowing with a cold intelligence that seemed to pierce his very mind. Alex's heart raced, but he steadied himself, letting the rhythm of the core flow through him. Fear was a tool now, sharpening his senses, heightening his reactions. The entity struck first, sending waves of dark energy that tore through the corridor. Alex raised his hands instinctively, the core responding to his thoughts and movements. Shields of pure light formed around him, deflecting the attacks, and bursts of energy flared outward, pushing the entity back. Each pulse of the core was in perfect harmony with his own heartbeat, giving him a sense of control he had never imagined possible. Lyria's voice echoed in his mind, steady and guiding. "Do not hesitate. Strike when you see the opening. Trust the core. Trust yourself." Alex focused, feeling the currents of energy swirl around him. The entity was powerful, but it moved with arrogance, assuming he was weak, that a human could never match its might. That arrogance would be its downfall. He struck, sending a concentrated beam of energy into the dark form, which recoiled with a sound that seemed like the scream of the void itself. The battle continued, a dance of light and darkness. The entity attacked with relentless precision, but Alex had learned to anticipate, to adapt, and to use the environment to his advantage. Corridors twisted and shifted under the influence of the core, forming barriers and traps that limited the entity's movements. Each strike, each maneuver tested him physically and mentally, but he pressed on, refusing to yield. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time had lost its meaning in the flow of the battle. Alex felt exhaustion creeping in, his body trembling from the effort of maintaining control over the core. Yet with every pulse, every surge of energy, he grew more confident. The bond between human and core was no longer fragile. It was a force to be reckoned with, a living weapon fueled by trust, courage, and determination. Lyria remained at his side, guiding, encouraging, and occasionally adjusting his focus. "The entity is clever but predictable," she said. "It tests your fear, your doubt, your limits. Do not let it succeed. Remember why you fight." Her words struck a chord deep within him. He thought of the pods, of the lives depending on him, and he felt a surge of human determination unlike anything the entity could comprehend. Humans had survived against impossible odds, adapting and enduring when all seemed lost. And now he was carrying that spirit into battle, merging it with an alien power that amplified his instincts and courage. The entity lunged forward, massive tendrils of dark energy reaching for him. Alex anticipated the strike, sidestepping and sending a pulse of light that struck the creature's core. It roared, a sound that reverberated through the ship, shaking walls and ceilings. Yet it was not defeated. It adapted, striking again with more precision, more force, attempting to exploit any hesitation. Alex felt doubt creep in for the first time, a flicker of fear that threatened to break his focus. But then he remembered Lyria's words, the trust she had placed in him and the lives of her people. He closed his eyes, letting the core flow through him fully, not as a weapon, but as an extension of his own mind. Every thought, every intention was channeled through it. The dark mass before him faltered, unable to predict the ingenuity and determination of a human fused with alien energy. He struck again, this time with precision and purpose. Beams of light lanced from his hands, weaving around the entity, striking weak points and forcing it backward. The ship shook violently, corridors cracking and collapsing, but the pods remained intact, protected by the energy of the core. Alex felt a surge of triumph, yet he knew the battle was not yet over. The entity gathered itself for a final assault, its form expanding, darkness radiating outward like a storm. Alex's muscles ached, his mind strained, but he could not falter. With a deep breath, he let the core flow through him completely, merging instinct with energy, courage with strategy. A blinding pulse of light erupted from his position, striking the entity with overwhelming force. The dark form screamed, twisting and collapsing inward, unable to withstand the combined power of human determination and alien energy. When the light faded, the corridors were silent. The entity had been repelled, not destroyed, but its immediate threat was gone. Alex sank to his knees, exhausted but alive, his body trembling from the effort. Lyria appeared beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder, her expression a mixture of relief and admiration. "You did it," she whispered. "You faced what no one else could, and you survived. My people, they are safe, for now." Alex exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of his actions settling on him. He had not only survived but had protected an entire civilization from annihilation. The experience had changed him, forged him into something greater than a pilot or a soldier. He was a bridge between species, a testament to the strength of human courage and ingenuity. The pods stirred as Lyria activated them, awakening her people from their suspended state. Faces appeared, wide-eyed and filled with wonder and gratitude. Alex felt a profound sense of responsibility, knowing that his actions had given them a chance at life. Each life saved was a reminder of why he had fought, why he had pushed beyond his limits. Lyria guided him to the bridge of the ship, a panoramic view of the wreckage and the stars beyond. "The battle is not over," she said, her voice calm but firm. "The entity will return stronger and more cunning, but now we have hope, and hope is powerful." Alex nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. He had learned the rhythm of the core, faced impossible odds, and discovered the strength that lay within himself. Humanity had proven, once again, that courage, adaptability, and determination could overcome even the most daunting challenges. As he stood there, looking at the stars and the fragile remnants of a civilization he had saved, Alex realized something profound. The The human spirit was stronger than anyone, alien or cosmic, could ever predict. It was not just physical strength or advanced technology that defined a species, but the courage to act when all hope seemed lost. And in that moment, Alex knew that the fight was far from over. The cosmic entity would return, more formidable than ever. But he was ready. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and they had survived. Now he was not just a human pilot, he was a protector, a warrior, and a symbol of resilience. The bond between him and Lyria had deepened, a partnership forged in light, trust, and mutual determination. Together, they would face whatever came next, and the legacy of human courage would continue to shine across the stars. The journey ahead would be dangerous, filled with challenges beyond imagination, but Alex felt ready. The rhythm of the core flowed through him, steady and strong, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, courage and determination could illuminate a path forward. And as the stars stretched endlessly outside the ship, Alex stood tall, ready to face the unknown, carrying with him the hope of a people who had survived against impossible odds, and the knowledge that humanity, no matter how small in the vast universe, could achieve greatness. When driven by heart, courage, and trust, the ship shuddered violently as the cosmic entity's presence pressed closer, a wave of darkness that seemed to stretch across the corridors and into every corner of the starship. Alex felt the pulse of the core thrum beneath his hands, stronger than ever, yet urgent and demanding. The final battle was at hand, and failure was no longer an option. Lyria stood beside him, her form glowing with anticipation, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. "You are ready," she said softly, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Whatever comes, trust the core, trust yourself, trust that humanity can do what no one else can." Alex nodded, swallowing the fear that had been building inside him for days. He had trained, learned, and fought, mastering the rhythms of the core and the energy it provided. He was not the same human who had wandered through the wreckage. He was something more, stronger, focused, and determined. He had carried the hope of an entire civilization on his shoulders, and he would not fail them now. The shadows shifted, and the entity revealed itself fully. It was a colossal, swirling mass of darkness, its form constantly changing, almost impossible to comprehend. Eyes like glowing voids pierced the chamber, and waves of power radiated outward, threatening to crush everything in their path. The ship groaned under the pressure, warning systems flashing red. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the core synchronize with his own heartbeat. Every memory, every instinct, every ounce of courage he had was channeled through the energy that now flowed like a living extension of himself. He could feel the entity probing his mind, testing him, searching for fear and doubt to exploit. But he had no fear, only determination. "You can do this," Lyria whispered. "We can do this together." The entity struck first, sending massive tendrils of dark energy that tore through the corridor. Alex raised his hands instinctively, and the core responded, forming a barrier of radiant light that absorbed the impact. Sparks of energy danced around him, illuminating the chamber as the force of the attack washed over the shields. The sound of the collision reverberated in his bones, but he remained steady, moving with the rhythm, anticipating the next strike. He countered, sending beams of concentrated energy toward the entity. The dark mass twisted and reformed, dodging some attacks but faltering against the precision of his strikes. He realized that the entity, though powerful, relied on fear to manipulate others. It had never encountered a human who could merge so completely with the core, act with instinct, and respond with creativity rather than caution. Lyria's guidance was steady in his mind. "Aim for the weak points," she said. "Strike where it cannot anticipate. Let your mind flow with the core and it will respond." Alex focused, scanning the form of the entity. There were cracks in its structure, areas where the darkness was less dense, less coherent. With a surge of determination, he directed the energy from the core into those points, hitting them with precision. The entity shrieked, a sound that seemed to shake reality itself, and recoiled, reforming into a more chaotic shape. Despite its immense power, it was not invincible. Alex realized that the entity had underestimated the combination of human instinct and alien energy. He was not merely reacting. He was creating strategies, using the ship itself as part of his defense and offense. Hallways shifted under the influence of the core, barriers of light forming in unpredictable ways, guiding him, protecting the pods, and channeling his attacks toward the creature. Hours of battle passed, though time had lost all meaning. Alex's body ached, his mind strained, but the bond between him and the core only grew stronger. Lyria remained a constant presence, her energy amplifying his own, guiding him with calm precision. The pods where her people slept remained untouched, a testament to the strength of their partnership. Finally, the entity prepared its ultimate attack, a concentrated surge of dark energy, collapsing space around it, threatening to consume the entire ship. Alex could feel the pressure building, threatening to overwhelm his mind and body. His instincts screamed at him to retreat, but he did not. He thought of Lyria, of her people, of the countless lives depending on him. He could not falter now. With a deep breath, he let the core flow through him completely, surrendering his hesitation and fear. Energy surged from him in a blinding wave, forming a sphere of light that expanded outward, engulfing the entity. The dark mass shrieked and twisted, resisting the force, but the combined power of human will and the core's energy was unstoppable. Alex focused all his intention, all his determination, into one final strike. The chamber shook violently as the light clashed with darkness. Walls cracked and debris floated around them in zero gravity, caught in the force of the energy. Alex could feel his strength waning, but he pushed further, pouring every ounce of courage and instinct into the attack. The entity screamed, a sound of pure rage, and then, slowly, it began to collapse inward, its form breaking apart under the relentless pressure of the core's energy guided by human determination. When the light faded, the chamber was silent. The entity had been repelled, not destroyed entirely, but neutralized for now. Alex sank to his knees, exhausted beyond measure, his body trembling. Lyria knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder, her expression filled with awe and relief. "You did it," she whispered. "You faced what no one else could, and you survived. My people, they are safe because of you." Alex exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of everything he had done settle over him. He had been afraid, overwhelmed, and exhausted, yet he had not failed. The pods stirred as Lyria activated them, awakening her people from their suspended state. Faces appeared, wide-eyed, filled with wonder, gratitude, and relief. Alex saw hope in their expressions, a hope he had nurtured and protected with his courage and skill. Lyria helped him to his feet. "You are more than human," she said softly, her eyes meeting his. "You are a savior, a protector, a symbol of strength. You have proven that humans can rise to challenges no one else could face." Alex smiled faintly, exhaustion mixing with pride. He had not sought recognition, nor had he expected to become a hero. Yet here he was, having saved an entire civilization from annihilation. The bond between human and alien had grown unbreakable, a partnership forged in trust, determination, and courage. He walked through the corridors, checking the pods, making sure everyone was safe. The people of Lyria's species, once enslaved and on the brink of extinction, now moved freely within the ship, their expressions filled with amazement at the human who had risked everything for them. They were tentative at first, cautious in their movements, but as they realized the threat was gone, relief and joy spread through their ranks. From the ship's bridge, Alex gazed out into space. Stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the struggles below, yet he felt a deep connection to them now. The universe was vast, filled with forces beyond comprehension, But humans had something unique: courage, creativity, and the will to act when hope seemed lost. He had proven that. Lyria approached him, her form glowing softly in the light of the bridge. "There is still much to do," she said. "We must rebuild, we must protect our people, and we must prepare for the future. But now we have hope, and hope is stronger than any darkness." Alex nodded, feeling the truth of her words. Humans were often underestimated, considered fragile and limited. Yet here he stood, having faced a cosmic entity and survived, having merged with an alien power and mastered it, and having saved an entire civilization. Hope, courage, and determination had carried him through the impossible, and he understood now that these were the greatest strengths of his species. As the ship repaired itself, and the people began to move freely, Alex felt a sense of peace for the first time since the crash. He had been tested beyond limits, yet he had endured. He had learned the value of trust, of courage, and of the connection between species. He had seen what humans could achieve when they believed in themselves, and when they acted not for glory but for others. Lyria stood beside him, her hand brushing his lightly. "Thank you, Alex," she said simply. "You have given us more than life. You have given us hope, and that is priceless." He looked at her, exhausted but resolute. "We did this together," he said. "I only acted because I had your guidance and your people's trust." She smiled, a soft, radiant smile. "Even so, it was a human who faced the impossible. It was a human who protected us when all seemed lost. Remember that always." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the core's energy still flowing through him, a reminder of the bond he now shared with Lyria and her people. The universe was dangerous, unpredictable, and vast, but humanity had proven once again that courage, adaptability, and determination could overcome the impossible. The ship hummed with life, lights stabilizing, corridors repaired, and pods emptied as her people explored their freedom. Alex stood on the bridge, looking at the stars, and felt a deep sense of pride. Humans may be small in the grand cosmos, but their spirit, courage, and heart were unmatched. He had faced a being of unimaginable power, and through trust, courage, and determination, he had emerged victorious. As the stars stretched endlessly around them, Alex realized that the journey was far from over. Challenges would come again, but now he understood that humans could rise to meet any trial, that courage and hope were forces no darkness could extinguish. And in that understanding, he felt an unshakable strength, the knowledge that no matter how vast or powerful the universe might seem, humans were capable of leaving a mark that would echo through the stars. The cosmic entity may return, but Alex was ready. He had merged with the core, mastered its power, and proven that humanity could rise above fear, uncertainty, and even the incomprehensible. He was more than a human pilot now. He was a protector, a savior, a symbol of courage. And as long as humans carried hope in their hearts, no darkness could ever defeat them. Lyria placed her hand on his shoulder one final time. "The stars are vast, but together we will ensure that my people survive. And perhaps humanity will be remembered not as fragile but as extraordinary." Alex smiled, exhausted yet resolute. "Then let's make sure they remember," he said. And with the stars as their witness, human and alien, bound by trust, courage, and determination, looked toward the future, a future they would face together, stronger than ever.